Hey everyone, we are here today at Old Fort Harrod State Park, where we've just spoken to a couple of their team members about their 100th year anniversary and all the things there are to do here on a regular day, like stand in front of one of the world's largest Osage trees that they have on property. You're going to want to listen in. There's a lot to do here.
This fort is very precious and very special to Kentucky.
I think we've come several times.
We've been here several times.
I do have to admit,
yes.
Miss Mary, I think we've probably seen you most times. And we always learn, like this morning, I listened to you for a little while as you were looming. And looming is that weaving on the loom. And you were talking about how long it took to make an inch of cloth and how precious cloth was. So, I don't remember, you may have said that before, but everything we hear can't stick every time. But I feel like I learned that fresh this morning, even though we've been here several times. So give us just a good overview of when people come to Fort Harrod. We're sitting here in the middle of the fort, of course. This is not the original fort. This is a replica. Kind of give us what this was and is now.
Well, what it was at one time, it was basically a farm of the Taylor family,
Okay.
which gave it to the Pioneer Memorial Group
Okay.
because they wanted to be able to take care of the history of Harrodsburg and of the fort. So we are a replica which was built from an original drawing.
I remember you telling us that
1790.
last time we were here. Yes.
Yes. And that original drawing gave us dimensions and details of every building in this fort. So we are the only fort in Kentucky recreated from an original drawing.
Yeah, that's so cool.
And we, being 102 years old, basically the fort idea started in 1895.
Okay.
But when people come here, we want them to find out about their history. This is the beginning of Kentucky, and that's what's so important, especially to children. So they get to see how life was. We may be cooking. We have a cob oven that we bake in. We've done roast. We've done cobblers. We've done cornbread. And this is what the whole fort would have shared. And we do that at times. We have our blacksmith here who talks about basically what people had to have. And iron, metals, anything like that was something had to be brought here. This country's not making it yet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like when Anne McGinty gets here, she's bringing in her spinning wheel because you can't get cloth. You get it from England, takes 2 years to get here.
Mm-hmm.
And
a
then
lot of money. And
it does.
yes.
And so
when was when was Fort Harrod the original build?
the original build was in 1774.
Which was before we were even America.
Right.
So we
Yeah, it
celebrate
was
America's 250th
The
this year
first settlement, is that correct?
Yes.
in
Yeah.
Kentucky.
Yes. When you think about it, Kentucky and this settlement is the first westward movement over the Alleghanies.
Yes.
Right.
So people are coming here from the south, but they're also coming from the north.
Mm-hmm.
And you're coming over the Appalachian Mountains. So people are going to come here to find out where they need to go, if they need to stay for a while. This is the capital of the day at that time. So they're bringing what they can here, but you can't have everything because you're walking.
Right.
And that's a long 600 miles.
Yeah. That was not like we do it today.
No.
It was an adventure. You had to be determined.
Yes, you
You
did.
had to be a pioneer.
Yes, exactly.
You had to have some
Well,
some bravery and some tenacity and some perseverance
You
and all
did.
the things.
and of course, the tyranny of the British pushed you
Yes.
to come here,
Right.
to get away from that.
We have read some of that history. Yes.
So Anne, she comes in looking for something, and that's what we show. We show how they had to make cloth. why you had to wait 2 years to get something to wear, why you had to wear someone else's clothes, because it wasn't fast. It wasn't done yesterday.
Mhm.
And you had to wait for it. And everything that was done seasonally. You did this in this season. You did this in that season. And so everything rolled all year long. And Anne McGinty was a very special lady. I call her the queen of the fort because she's the only one who lived in the fort. And so eventually, she even had to have 4 husbands so she could run an ordinary. Yeah, she wasn't allowed to own it. So,
Yeah, things that we do not have to deal with anymore.
exactly.
Things have changed
They have.
that we are thankful for. Yeah, but we're so fortunate to get to film with you here in the middle of the fort. You've got the blacksmith, and we're hearing in the background. You've got the bleeding of the sheep to the other side of us. There's just so much life here, and I know that they had to have, as you mentioned, everything was done with the seasons. They had to have been so in tune with the natural elements of the world and the joy of simple progress.
Exactly.
Like hearing a lamb,
Yes.
because that lamb didn't get here without someone. Lambs aren't native to.
Somebody, basically, they didn't have sheep here at first, so somebody had to bring a ram in.
That's what I thought. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's just same with everyone brought a cow.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually, somebody got smart and brought in a bull. Now we start a herd.
Right.
But a cow was so important at this day because it could pull a plow, it could give you food, and it also could carry.
Mm-hmm.
So you did not kill your cow. You hung on to your cow and protected it.
Every little thing had a purpose.
It did.
Yeah.
Everything had a purpose.
And everybody worked.
They did. Children were working from the time they could walk. They had little chores to do.
Mhm.
And when you had a bigger family, if you had 10 children or if you had 15 children, every child had a special talent that they did so very well. And that maintained the family because the family was going to basically survive because of that.
Right.
And not one child had to do everything. And so that way these children worked together to be able to survive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what survival was in this period of time.
And this is what you all depict here.
Yes, it is. And so we have a gentleman that does our garden. He does our leather working. He's right in tune with it. And that's what they had to have, somebody who maybe did that. Because bartering and trading was the only way to get by.
Mhm.
There was no money. And what money there was, I mean, it was very little at the most.
And probably not nearly as meaningful.
It wasn't, because money in this period of time had to be doled out, and then you really were careful. Like English money, if somebody gave you Anne an English coin, she bites it to see if it's real or not, because they made it out of lead at one time
Mhm.
and dipped it in gold and silver.
Mm.
So she's going to bite that English coin.
Yeah.
And so bartering and trading were the ways to go. And skins, hides, and pelts were your money at this time. And that's what made this country, was the bartering and trading through people. Even in the government, they were bartering and trading.
Sure.
So that's why our country is like it is today, because we do barter and trade. But here you might find us cooking. We like to cook in our oven. We have our cob oven, and we also have a gentleman. We have some wonderful docents who come and help us here. We're always acceptable of docents. We like that. And but I make the candles here when we need candles. I make the baskets here. Also, I do the spinning. We have a young lady that volunteers on weekends, and she spins and dyes. And so we're just very fortunate to have the docents who help us here and bring life to this fort, because this is what our folks today need to see. This is the beginning, and they need to understand what it took for us to have what
And
we
then
have.
swell up with pride when they realize, oh, this is the start of Kentucky.
And
Yeah,
what
we
a
did it.
what a great
You
what a
know.
great opportunity it would be for someone maybe who have read history, but then to be able to come here and actually walk and make the reading come to life.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what's so important about getting our message out.
Yeah.
Because, of course, this was the third park of the 72 that Kentucky started back in the 1890s. And we want to keep it 102 more years, too.
Of
Sure.
course.
And so,
So what, you see so many people.
yes.
We'll leave you with this question. What do you find that people are so surprised by when they do?
Basically, the surprise comes to me that they never realized that this fort was the very first settlement. It has been taught so long that other forts would be before this one.
Mm,
And it's not taught in our books to our children.
okay.
They don't know. And so when you talk to the school children
Mhm.
and you tell them, they look at each other like, huh?
That's right. Yeah, I
It's-
can see that.
And that's what we pride ourselves in. We love our school children.
Mm.
We love to tell them, this is the beginning. And we want them to know this belongs to them,
Mhm.
belongs to Kentucky. And it's going to take the Kentucky people to love it or lose it.
That's the way it is, isn't it? That's
Yes,
the way
it is.
life happens. You all do such a marvelous job of really, truly making history come to life. Again, we've been here several times. We never tire of it. It's always
It's always a
fascinating.
treat.
Yeah,
Always a treat.
yeah. And we're not even, I wouldn't even call us history buffs. You know, we appreciate history, but we're not buffs. So, you know, for us to, I'm sure if you loved history, it would be even more exciting. But you all do such a lovely job. And thank you so much for
Well, thank
sitting
you.
down with us today and talking about what you all do here. We
Well,
appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming. And thank you for putting us out there.
You're
you.
welcome. And happy 100 years.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for letting us join you today. We're sitting in the middle of Fort Harrod State Park. It is, as you can see, a gorgeous day. Thanks so much for letting us come out and talk to you all a little bit about you all are celebrating 100 years in
Yes.
the Kentucky State Park system.
Yes.
You have so much going on, and we know that you all have visitors year round.
Yes.
So what is it that people come here to do?
So people come here to see living history. Our park is a museum, but of living history. And they get a tour of the park. You get to go back in time and see how people would have lived in that time period, what they would do every day, what they would eat, what their chores would be, what they grew in their garden, and just how they lived. Our interpreters do a great job of giving you that information.
And they really do, because we've been here
Several
several times, and they are so knowledgeable.
They're very passionate about their jobs.
You really stand in front of them and go, oh, that's intense. Like I just hung out with the interpreter that is making cloth right now.
Mhm.
And she was talking about how many hours it took to make an inch of cloth.
Yeah.
And so like I'm feeling that as I'm wearing my easily ordered dress.
Yes.
It was no big thing for me to do that. But for them, it was survival.
Yes.
And your interpreters, I think, do a great job of explaining what it took. So tell us a little bit about like where you might find an interpreter when you visit and what they might be doing.
So on a normal day, you would start out in the gunsmith cabin, and it's also called the James Harrod Blockhouse. It's where there's a gentleman dressed as a gunsmith would be. He can show you how a long rifle works, how you would fix it, how it fires, and tell you about what you were hunting with it and how you had to plan, because it doesn't fire if it's raining out. So therefore, you think about the long effect there. You may not eat that day. So you travel on down the path past a spring. It shows how the fort was built around a spring, the importance of water for putting out fires, drinking, cleaning, how important water is, and I think we take that for granted right now. There's
Of course.
also a Kentucky River cane patch that children like to go in and hide. It was a great place to hide from enemies. It's very dense and thick, and you don't really realize it till you go take a walk through it. Then you travel on up the path to our blacksmith. He shows you how he would have built his fire, how he kept it going, and what all the blacksmith did. The blacksmith was very important. He made everything out of metal. His job was never done. He was one of the most important people, and he had to be near the spring.
Yes.
To have water.
So
To have water.
if you're looking right now, the spring is right behind us, and the blacksmith shop is right behind you. And I hung out with the blacksmith just a little bit before we started filming today, and the huge bellows
Yes.
that is still functioning, that he is still using.
Yes.
I mean, it's fascinating stuff
Yes.
that you're not going to see anywhere else at another Kentucky state park. And I would be hard pressed to think of where you would find that in another state park anywhere. We love state parks in general, but that's pretty unique.
Boonesboro, I don't know what all stations they have, but they were 2 years later than Harrodsburg. But I haven't been over there in a while, and I need to see what they have.
But that's another good option in this area.
Yes.
For people to experience living history. And then I stopped you there, but you were at the blacksmith shop, and then right up the hill behind you.
Okay, so the next one is called the Ordinary, and it was owned by Anne McGinty. And when you go in, she can tell you the history. Anne had, I think, numerous husbands. She kept having to get remarried because she wasn't allowed to own a business as a woman unless she was married. And then that cabin houses our weaver, who you met, and she tells you all about clothing, how long it takes to make, how children got their clothes. They didn't have real clothes till they were 6 years old. They wore nightgowns, and that was when they turned 6. They usually got their brothers or sisters hand-me-downs.
Well, and there's 2 looms up there, right? So that was fascinating. Yeah. To watch as well.
So moving on, the next cabin doesn't normally have an interpreter in it. Occasionally we have volunteers. I saw one walking around. That shows you what a typical home would look like. It does have a cherry bed, and we have in our museum that we'll, I guess, talk about later, has the matching sugar chest.
Oh,
which
wow.
Sugar was very
Precious
valuable.
commodity.
Yes, and that is located in our museum. In that cabin, it shows the bed, dishes that were similar to what she would have brought over in that time period. Next, you go to the next one, the leathersmith. And he shows you, he actually, I think, works with brooms too. It's multi-purpose cabin. So he shows you how he would tan a hide to get the leather, and then he'll make simple things with the leather. We have shoe dyes located in one of the cabins, so they would cut from the dye to make the shoes. He's got, I think that cabin also has a lot of tools that people would have used in that time, maybe even the first plow.
Wow.
Replica in that cabin. Next is the soap maker. The soap maker, she starts out with lye, and that made from ash. It goes into an ash hopper. I think she actually gets her ash from the blacksmith and creates the lye and lard and makes the lye soap. And people love it. We do sell it in our gift shop. Apparently it can be really good if you have eczema and can't use scented soaps or anything. Excuse me. I think it is also known to repel ticks, which seem to be a problem right now. So I haven't tried it myself, but I'm definitely going to.
You never know. Some of the old things are the best.
Yes. And no chemicals, what the ingredients. And I can't see.
I think the school is
the school.
there.
Yes, the school. So the school's a replica of the first schoolhouse in Kentucky, and when you go in, you'll see there's what they called the dunk stool. That was a real thing. Somebody to sit in the corner if they were being naughty. They have a piece of paper on top of the mantle showing like how children were taught to navigate with the stars.
Oh, wow.
Very early, because it was nothing back then to send your 10-year-old 10 miles down the road to pick up something. That's something you would not do now. They also, the windows were covered up with, I think it's bears, some sort of cloth, or they covered it with bear fat. So another unique thing about the schoolhouse is that it doesn't have chinking in the logs. I don't know if you noticed.
I did notice that.
Okay, that was because there's a few theories, and probably both are true, is she knew about infectious disease, so she kept the air flowing through the schoolhouse. They also went to school in the winter time, so that's what the big fireplace, and some say that it was like that to keep it cool so people stayed awake.
Stay awake.
I love a good history theory.
Well,
You can't beat it.
It's funny. I can walk around any day of the week and listen to them. If we have guests or schools, we get tons of field trips in April and October, and I'll just occasionally be walking by and I'll stop and listen. And every day I learn something new.
So much to know.
I pick up more, not necessarily the dates or but the little bits of trivia, like
Right.
the little things like that.
Like
So-
the bear fat on the
That
cloth,
or
the
that,
curtain cloth.
yes, just little things like the children didn't have clothes till they were 6. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And they can all tell you little things like in going on to the next cabin. No, I skipped one. There's right now nobody's in it. There's a doll maker. It used to house our doll maker and gardener, and it shows like another typical cabin. The female would keep hominy going in her pot all the time. It shows even like a little toy that children would have, and then she made dolls out of scraps. So children did have some toys. Blacksmith makes some as well.
Yeah. And speaking of things that you all make here, you all have a lovely gift shop with several things. You've already mentioned the soap, but you can also pick up things that the blacksmith is making. And just a minute ago while you were talking, you could hear the hammer or the anvil while he was making something. So you all have several nice mementos that you can take home from history and your time here as well.
Yes, we do. We have some regular items, and then things all made here. And the soap, the dolls, the leather products, and the blacksmith. Even the gunsmith and the map maker, they've been making little like a measure for gunpowder out of cane, and they've been making cane holes and things out of anything around here.
So cool. So cool. So one last thing we definitely want to ask you is about the history of the place. You all are celebrating this year 100 years. What would you like people to know about that?
So this was originally called Pioneer Memorial Park. The city of Harrodsburg was given acres in 1926. That's why we're
Yeah.
There was some confusion if it was 1925 or 1926, or maybe it overlapped, but 26 is when the Kentucky legislature finally, that's when it's documented, is 1926. And it remained Pioneer Memorial Park, I believe, until 1968. And in 1934, just another little bit of trivia, we have a federal monument outside of the park.
Oh, yes, it's beautiful.
And that was dedicated by FDR in 1934. We have a plaque out there where he stood, and you can go back and find these photographs of the park. I don't think there was an empty space on the park. The crowd it just fills the entire park. I wish
That's
I had
really
one
special.
to show you.
Yeah,
right
and the
now.
monument is to all the pioneers, right?
It's got a whole lot of history. It's mainly, it shows George Rogers Clark throughout history,
Explorers.
and then there's some other people on the side. I think it shows a woman carrying a baby. It's just dedicated to all the pioneers.
Yeah, yeah. So many people that came before us so that
Yes.
all of this could happen
Yes.
now. So what else would you like to make sure people know about the park? You all have a museum.
We do have a museum with a huge collection of artifacts. There's Native American artifacts. There's a great gun collection. There's some things of Daniel Boone's. There's Lincoln, lots of Lincoln memorabilia. It's really fascinating. There's a table in there. If you all have time, go check it out. That was in his funeral train. It's got, you can see the holes in the legs where it was screwed to the floor. There's a enormous portrait of him in there. Let's see what else.
There's I call it a church. It looks like a church, but you all call it
it's called the Lincoln Marriage Temple.
Lincoln Marriage
It houses the cabin that Lincoln's parents were married in, and it was given to us as a gift, and they built that around it to preserve it. One thing that we tend to take for granted quite often is we have a recreational park in the back as well. We have a huge playground, grills, a shelter you can rent with lots of picnic tables if you want to do something with your family. We're going to have some more games back there. I think we're putting in some horseshoes and cornhole.
Oh, fun.
And there's also the big tree. I didn't touch on that.
It's an
Osage tree. It does not have fruit because it's male. It doesn't qualify as the record holder because some of the branches, I think, touch the ground. So that disqualifies it, even though it is the biggest.
In the nation, right?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
So, anything else? I can't think of right now. I'm sure there's more. We do have an amphitheater that's under construction right now. We hope to open it back up next year. We do have the first cemetery in Kentucky that you'll probably walk through as well. Said to be over 500 people buried in it.
Wow.
But if you go look, you don't see 500 headstones. And most of the time, that's just a rock.
Right.
I'm sure your all's hours of operation are on the website, but what are your hours, days and hours?
So typically in our summer season, we are open Wednesday through Sunday, Wednesday through Saturday 9 to 5, and Sundays noon to 5. And we occasionally have special events on weekends, so our hours, we don't usually close any earlier. We might be open a little later.
But people can find all the information on the Kentucky State Parks website.
Yes, or we have a Facebook page for Fort Harrod. I'll put things on there sometimes, interesting little facts. Or if somebody, we'll have an old interpreter stop by because they come visit or something. We'll put it on there. And sometimes famous author will just stroll through and at the end of the tour tell me they're a famous author and wrote a book in our store or something like that. So you never know.
Really, in situations like this, in places like this, you never know what little magic moments are going to happen for sure. So thank you so much for talking to us today.
Sure.
You were great.